I mean, we just had a very close relationship with the caretakers of the house, and so they made it very clear that the primary consideration for them was communication. So we weren't allowed to spring anything on anybody. You know, we had to go through, we had amazing itemized sheets of every single element that they have in there, and we went through and, you know, we pointed out what needed to be moved, and we had these, you know, A4 sheets of paper that just listed everything. And so there needed to be art handlers involved, and, you know, the people that run the archives, and so they were responsible, where normally on a film our department would be responsible for moving things around. They needed to be involved because the items are so precious. So we effectively emptied all of the rooms, and which took, it was pretty much about coordination. They were incredibly supportive of the film and very open to our constructing in spaces and obviously dressing. I mean, you know, they let us have, you know, blood oranges being thrown. So, you know, there was a lot, as long as we were communicating about what we were going to do and our intentions, they were unbelievably supportive,
It was really nice because it was a relationship that grew. So when we started, they were like, oh, no one has removed all these paintings, no one has done this. And it was a bit of give and take, and because we almost were living there, as they got to know us and we all became friends, then they were like, they trusted us, they understood we respected the building enormously, so it kind of grew organically, our relationship and what we were allowed to do in there. And we were always watched. We would never do anything on our own because and people, you know, valuers would always be there. But as the relationship grew, and what we felt very lucky about that, because I don't think people have been in Hatfield, because if you just bump in for one set and then leave again, you can't build up that trust that we managed to get. So we really, all the building and changing that we did was down to the relationships, which was great.
But also what they all really enjoyed it, because they were watching how we work and the sort of the morphing of their plate. You know, these guys go there every day, you know, they're these caretakers, and they were, you know, suddenly finding that the entire front facade of the building had been built, and they were, you know, things were just happening. They really enjoyed it.
They loved it because they loved that place. Each day was a new adventure for them. They were like waiting for the next party, and they loved the flowers, the food. It was such an adventure for like all of us. So I think it was like when we were leaving, they were really sad.
I know, we had like little gifts exchanged and cards written in.
We all got to know each other, and we just all kind of went on the adventure together. But it's really hard, isn't it? Just because you can't even, like, we would work quite organically together, where you just try something and move something, and if it's theirs, a picture, you have to get certain people there and it all organised. So that becomes hard, and you can't suddenly change anything.
No. What we did was we built within each space. So there's walls that are in the sets that so for example, the obvious example is, you know, the secret passageway doesn't exist. So we needed to create false walls to get you in and out of that. We also built that as a set. Abigail's bedroom is built in a space that's in Hatfield House, but it's just a big, massive empty room. So we sort of treated empty spaces of Hatfield like a studio. And then we were really, again, it comes back to, we just spent so much time there. So we had our construction on site. They had a big barn. We had, you know, all of our props moved up there. So we basically, we turned that into,
we built our carriages there, which was great because you could be dressing the set and then you'd go and see how, and the carriages were built from scratch. They look so perfect that you don't realise, but they were built from the ground up. So there was a whole workshop just with carriages and drapes separately from there. We had our drapes workshop there. We had 3 rooms full of flowers. We had a room just dedicated to period food. So all of this would be happening, and that's such a joy because you can go like you would in a studio. You can go, we're dressing a set. I'm going to take Fiona to see the flowers. We'll pass by Catherine to check the food, and so it would be great. It was great, and that was Hatfield accommodating us more and more.
It's like all of Yorgos's films, there's an internal logic. So without explanation, there's a duck race. That's just the logic of this world. This is the whim and, you know, of the court. And so we needed to create a visual landscape that accommodated that, which just took, you know, it took, we'd talk about the wheelchair, and the wheelchair you know, we designed a wheelchair. Wheelchairs didn't exist at that point in time. So we had to come up with a version of the wheelchair, and we came up with two concepts. One was very simple, one was quite involved. And when it came to coming onto the set, the really like ornate Queen's wheelchair was too much. Just felt too, it was pushing too hard. When in fact the simple one was absolutely right. I mean, there's a delicacy to all the furniture in the film anyway. So the minute something kind of chunky came in, it just felt overthought. And this is what I mean by walking this line, like trying to find a balance where you're not being clever. We never wanted to be clever. You know, we're just trying to be, I don't know, we're just doing what felt right.
We knew when we first read the script, we were so excited because the script is surreal and bizarre and wicked and funny and dark. And so, and those female relationships, so we knew we weren't making an ordinary period drama. So right from the offset, Fiona does an amazing amount of visual research that informs everything we kind of follow on to do. And then, so that's already kind of going on, and then we just started to play, and we realised because of the script, because of the world we were in, because of Yorgos's worlds that already exist in his other films, that we suddenly had this really fun playground that we could, license to do. And Yorgos was very specific. He wanted the wheelchair. We said it didn't exist. He didn't care. The cake. So we were like, okay, well, if that's opened the doors, we want to base it historically, but we can push boundaries and we can make it more fun and fresh. We really wanted to keep it interesting for the people and for us as well. Oh, the spa was really fun. Well, Fiona was really pushing for that, weren't you? Because it was kind of coming in and out because we had to build the whole thing.
The spa, you know, we're a low budget film. And so the spa was one that we just were struggling with budget-wise, and it's such an important story beat that, you know, it was a real wrestle, and I felt it was very important. So we worked out a way. I remember doing some kind of proposal and writing to Yorgos saying, okay, I think I can pull it off, like if we do this. And he just is very succinct, and he wrote back something like, oh, could be good. And I was like, amazing, okay, great. But we just worked out a way to go in very quickly. I mean, I think we had probably a week there, and we were using an existing room, but it's a Victorian kitchen. So we had to clad the entire space with the marble and build, you know, the level for the bath, and obviously bring in the bath and do all that work. But it just felt like, you know, it's one of those lovely moments it's like a little gem because you're out of the royal court. And plus it was always fun for us the whole way through to say, what is the ultimate version of a day spa? So, you know, like we kept sort of trying to hit these peak marks, like what is the most, you know, brilliant version of this? And so that's what we
had loads of fun with the sets that were out of the palace, because we were like, suddenly you're in this fresh world. So Lynn Hewitson, who's the art director, you know, we played with the bath ideas for ages, and you can't get a bath. You know, we looked at marble baths and stone baths. So that was a complete build. The whole bath was a build. All the marbling was a build. So we just had an amazing art department team building that, and that was a kitchen, wasn't it? Yeah. A Victorian kitchen that was built within it. And we love crystals. There's a lot of crystals in there. We've got like piles of rocks, and the mud is real. So they had fun in there, Olivia. And we had to have lots of tests with the mud. But so that was a really fun set. And it was all built, it's all imagination. It's all built from scratch.
So we've made 4 films together now. I don't know. I mean, I think the thing is that what I do that has become a very important part of my process is I do a lot of reference and research. So I find I have to be such a communicator as a production designer. It's such a key, you know, position for giving over information and having people know, so my team feels solid. As much as like I need to feel solid about what I'm doing, I need my people, my team to feel solid. So I always sort of put together the reference, don't I? And then Alice, we'll sit and we'll talk about that, and then it kind of grows. Alice will start bringing in her reference, and we just keep growing and growing. And I don't know, we have quite the shorthand now.
We're really lucky because we've done the films, but we've also done commercials, and we're also neighbours. So Fiona can say something, and then I'll say, you know, like it'll pass, or I'll find one reference of someone carrying this enormous bunch of flowers off the back of a truck, that the person's scale is so weird with the flowers, and that suddenly becomes the key thing, and it's come from, it could be a magazine, you know, it hasn't come from a historical book.
We don't have to explain. Like, I can show pictures of, you know, we just did a 15th century film, and some of my references were from like 1930. Yeah. I don't need to say to Alice, hey, listen, so this, I'm not actually looking at the truck. Like, you know, she'll know that what I'm looking at is a texture, or she actually understands all of that stuff. But the thing about Alice, I remember saying to you, surprise me. Like, I love it that she'll come in, you know, we'll do all this work together and I'll know where we're headed, and then I'll suddenly come in and go, oh wow, you know, like there's this just one little thing will just go pop, and that's what.
And that's fun. Yeah. We had, for us, I think, because we've done, it's not a big budget film, but it was bigger than our other ones. Our one before was 3 million and one before 10 or 12, you know, so for me, I had the team that I'd already dreamt of having, which wasn't very big, but so I had one person, Lizzie Bravo, who just looked after action props and details, and so she was a phenomenal, and we had 2 research people who, one just doing details like how would the herbs work, what would poison, and then Phil doing the bigger picture and Emily doing the smaller picture. You know, a buyer who was dedicated to our budget and, you know, not always having to run around and finding beautiful handles for us. We had a petty cash buyer, and then we have Jenny Tobin Flowers, who's like a creative partner for us, who's mad and amazing. Catherine Tidy, who we work with, who's a home economist. She does pretty much every British film, and she's, again, a creative partner for us. So we were able to, like, normally we'd have one or two of those people. And Camilla, who again we work with a lot.
Works with, she does horses for us, but they took on building the carriages, and then our construction completed them. So these are all people we've worked with since Macbeth. So, you know,
Caris, who does graphics and all the beautiful letters, and she had a calligrapher. So there's all these levels and layers of just fantastic people that we haven't all been able to bring. And Lynn's art department, you know, she had Jamie, who made the Blenheim Palace.
He built Blenheim Palace. This is an art director in the department. Like, when he would finish what he was doing,
his drawings.
He'd
do his drawings, and then he'd sit and make it.
It was like a weekend job. You just built that phenomenal paper. It's made out of paper.
We got it priced making it our house, and what was it
like 30 grand.
30,000. We were like, okay, we're going to make it ourselves. Because so a lot of it was in-house. Caris did so much herself.
I mean, we worked out there were about 10 people in the office. That's how small it was. It was tiny. And then, of course, it gets larger with prop teams and construction and, you know, greens people and all of that. But essentially, the core group was about 10.
Oh, and Muffin Green, who is our prop master, who is, again, a friend. So it's one of those times you often want to pull these people together, but they're all busy. And so Muffin's team were brilliant and funny, and they had a really nice time on set. So we just... Well, all of our collaborators we really liked as well, which is really good.